Hey, John Collins here, the Paper Airplane Guy, of course. Today I want to teach you how to make this guy, the Stinger, which is a pretty good compact folding distance plane. You can really give this guy a hard throw. Here it is just cruising across my living room. No problem there. So the folding is pretty easy on this. You get a lot of bang for the buck here. So let's get going on the folding of the Stinger. We're going to start out with diagonal folds, which is taking the top and laying it against the side. And if it feels like I'm going a little bit fast here, you can always hit the pause button. And their second or third time through, you'll be happy that I went this speed because you'll just kind of be reviewing along with me. So there's one diagonal fold. Here we go with the other diagonal fold. Just laying the top against this side, making a nice sharp crease. We're going to unfold that. That's your classic kind of diagonal fold start. Only this time we're doing a little bit something a little bit different. We're going to flip this over before we do kind of a water bomb-like assembly. So usually when you do diagonal folds, this ends up being the top of the plane, right? These corners here. Surprise! This is going to be the tail of the plane now. These two corners back here. And we're going to start now collapsing the top down. And we're going to take this whole side here and lay it against this diagonal fold. Here we go. This whole side now gets lined up with this diagonal fold. I like this plane. This was one of the first planes that I made that I really felt good about going after some distance. It just holds together nicely. It's really solid. You can throw it really hard. Okay, there's one side done. Let's open this up. We're going to do the other side. Lay this left-hand side against this diagonal fold. New crease is going to go through there. And it's just a really solid, great plane. Goes, easily the distance, easily 100 feet. You can get this guy to go across, any gymnasium. I'm using, especially if you use 24-pound paper. I'm folding with 24-pound here. This works great with 20-pound. 24-pound paper, you should have no trouble getting across the average size gymnasium. So there we go. We got that unfolded. Actually, I'm gonna recrease this and just leave this folded here for a second. Notice we've got this crease running across here. We're gonna use that to make a new crease that goes from this intersection to this intersection. So just lay that down for a moment and just move along that crease. Make sure it stays in position nicely. And you should make a new crease that goes from this intersection to this intersection. I missed just a little bit there. Let me try that one more time. And a little more careful about how I do that on the back side there. There we go. That's nicer. Okay, now I'm actually hitting the intersection. So that's going to be important. Our crease is going to go across there. We're going to follow this crease and this crease, both of these guys, and we're going to follow these two up here, and we're going to form new creases right through here. So here we go. We're following that, pinching this, following that, pinching that. So we're following these creases that we've made. All of our pre-creases are coming in, and we're going to follow this crease that we made across the top intersection here, and then the new creases are going to form right here. You can see them forming right here and right here. When I press this flat, we're going to form creases that follow these top layer creases. And it's kind of important that all these layers and creases line up. That allows us to do what we're going to do next, which is continue building some weight in the nose. All gliders like a little weight in the nose, and this Stinger is no exception. Okay, now we're taking this raw edge right up to the top, lining that up carefully, sweeping both to the left and the right at the same time. I kind of like to crease that way whenever I can. Now we're going to take this whole right-hand side and just move it over. Just kind of flatten that out there. So this whole flap, just moving along this crease, goes that way. Get a nice isosceles triangle up top. We'll move the left side over so that we got the same thing. And you can kind of see this is the old origami drinking cup kind of shape in the middle here, which is cool. But now we're going to take both of these triangles at the same time and tuck them inside a pocket that's on the back layer. So let's go flip this guy up so we can see into the top here. That's the farthest away layer. We're just going to flip those two corners right into that, and then make it go flat. What's going on here? Giving me a little bit of trouble there. Hardly ever does. Okay, there we go. Laying flat. Now this is nicely locked together. 3 more creases, we have a completed plane. So let's flip it over and fold the plane in half before we make wings. And I'm just going to rotate it just so it's easier. We've got the short side to the left here. And we're going to pay attention to this corner and this corner. That's the back of the plane. And the front corners, of course, as we fold this in half. Now you're going to notice a little bit of bubbling here, which is okay. Go ahead and let it bubble. We'll smooth that out in a minute. But what you want to do is kind of pay attention to landing these corners on top of each other. Go ahead and let it bubble. It's not going to hurt anything. just kind of get these two corners lined up and find the center of this raw edge back here. Okay, there we go. I've got the center found. Now I'm not going to worry too much about that bubbling. I'm going to try to find the center of the front of the plane here in the same sort of way. I'm going to line up these two front corners. Now I've got the center marked. I've got the rear marked. Now I'm just going to hold it down and just kind of squash down like that from the center both directions. And that's a pretty good fold in half. I've got it right down the center now, just where I want it. And now we're just going to take this long wing edge and line it up with the center crease here. So taking it right straight down. It gives you a nice blunt nose. This one, if you're going to ever throw a paper airplane at somebody, this is a good one because no pointy edges, not going to put an eye out or anything. And you'll notice again, I started in the center and swept back, started in the center and swept forward. That's just good folding. Flip it over. Do the same thing to this side and get these rear corners, these corners back here lined up nicely. And as good as you can. That's giving me a little bit of trouble back there on the lineup. There we go. Pay attention to the front now. It is kind of a little bit of a struggle to get that right where I wanted it. There we go. Okay. Looks pretty good. Lined up nicely. Nice sharp creases. Now a couple things we're going to do to this plane because these diagonal folds ended up at the back of the plane. What you're going to want to do is smooth out those wings a bit. So I'm just going to open it up enough to press that flat and then open it up enough to press that flat. Get those guys kind of flattened out. Now, I like to curve the front of it just a little bit here. You can kind of see I'm giving it just a little upward curve right there. Then of course you're going to want to give it a tiny bit of up elevator right here. And if you're noticing, like on this particular plane, this side is up above the layer a little bit more than that side. Not much, but sometimes it's helpful to just smooth it down that way and smooth it down that way. And there, now it's coming up pretty good. So a little bit of positive dihedral, not a lot. You don't have to go overboard here. That's enough positive dihedral. And you can see good wingspan for a dart, right? It's looking really nice. You've got a nice, good wingspan for the dart so it can glide a bit on top of being a real power plane. So here it is one more time. There it is folded. Let me just show you one more throw. You can see it just holds together all nicely by itself. Locked together really nicely. The Stinger, good looking plane, flies really straight with just a little bit of up elevator. That's the Stinger. Hey, and don't forget, you can always pick up my book on the website, PaperAirplaneGuy.com. Right now, if you use promo code FLASH, you get a good deal on that. So, Paper Airplane Guy, Stinger, cool plane, the Stinger.